Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today I will analyze the Donald Trump-Jeffrey Epstein controversy. First, I'll look at the background of this case, including the timeline of the incident, then offer my analysis. President Donald Trump used to be friends with disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein. Logs from Epstein's private jet indicated that Trump had been a passenger. Bill Clinton had been a passenger too. In Epstein's address book, there were several phone numbers for Trump. In 2019, Epstein was arrested and accused of committing horrible offenses against many victims. I've covered this case in other videos. The facts are well known. In response, Trump said that he had a falling out with Epstein and had not spoken to him in 15 years, so he distanced himself from Epstein. On August 10, 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his cell in a Manhattan jail. The authorities said that he had brought an end to his own life. Many people believed that Epstein was murdered. The idea here was that he was blackmailing alleged conspirators whose names were recorded on a secret list. It was never proven that this list actually existed, but many people were positive it did and called for the Epstein files to be released, meaning the files that investigators had on the case. They wanted to know the identities of these alleged conspirators. When Donald Trump was running for president, he talked about the Epstein files, suggesting that there must be some nefarious explanation for why his political opponents were not releasing them. Trump suggested that if he became president, there would be transparency. The Epstein files would be released to the public. This was a key move for Trump because it played into a very popular conspiracy theory which claimed that the media, financial institutions, and the government were controlled by a group of evil elites. Wealthy Satan worshippers were committing terrible offenses against multiple young victims. This was the essence of QAnon, which was a vigorously pro-Trump group of die-hard conspiracy theorists. They wanted to see Trump ascend to a place of glory where he could vanquish the evildoers. One could argue that the behavior of Jeffrey Epstein was kind of a proof of concept for this conspiracy theory. He was wealthy, well-connected politically, and he was actually involved in a conspiracy. The downfall of Jeffrey Epstein and his associate Ghislaine Maxwell was not satisfactory for the conspiracy theorists. They wanted the rest of the evildoers to face justice as well. The problem was they needed that secret list. They didn't know who the evildoers were. They were eagerly awaiting for Trump's victory so they could finally get their hands on that list. On February 21, 2025, not long after Donald Trump took office, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi responded to a question about releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein associates by saying the list was on her desk to review. She implied that it would be released. Months went by and nothing happened. For some reason, the list was not being made public. The delay was frustrating to many people, including some Trump supporters. On June 5, 2025, after Elon Musk had a falling out with Trump, Musk posted on the social media platform X, indicating that Trump was on Epstein's list. Elon Musk wrote, "Time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public." It seemed unusual that Trump, who is notoriously litigious, did not sue Elon Musk for defamation. This made people wonder if Musk was telling the truth. Was Trump actually in the Epstein files? Within a day or two, Elon Musk deleted the post, so maybe there was nothing to it. But it certainly caused people to wonder what was going on. Was there something that Trump was trying to conceal? On July 7, 2025, the Department of Justice issued an unsigned and mysterious memo related to the Epstein files. Here is a summary of this memo. Much of this is paraphrased. The DOJ conducted an exhaustive review of the investigative material related to Jeffrey Epstein. This included 300 gigabytes of evidence. Much of this evidence was in the form of illicit images and videos. The DOJ determined there was no incriminating list of clients, so the notorious list did not exist after all, the same one the Trump administration promised to release. The DOJ found no credible evidence that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals, and there was no evidence that could justify the investigation of uncharged parties. Information about victims is intertwined throughout the material, so releasing anything else would be harmful to those victims. There was no way to separate the offensive material from the rest of it. As far as what caused Jeffrey Epstein's death, the DOJ said he did. They even placed a link to a video in the memo to support their assertion. The video was from a surveillance camera in the Manhattan jail where Epstein died. It showed that no one entered his cell between 10:40 p.m. on August 9, 2019, through 6:30 a.m. the next day. The problem is that at 11:58 p.m. and 58 seconds, the video skips to 12 a.m. Over a minute is missing. The DOJ attributed this problem to an outdated prison surveillance system that reset every night. The bottom line with the memo is that the Trump administration is not releasing any more information about Jeffrey Epstein. The matter is closed. The Epstein files are forever sealed. On the next day, July 8, 2025, there was a cabinet meeting. When a reporter tried to ask Pam Bondi about the memo, Trump interjected, saying, "Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy has been talked about for years." Pam Bondi tried to explain the comment she made back in February 2025 about reviewing the list of Epstein associates. When she said that, she meant the file was on her desk, not that the list was on her desk. Pam was backtracking in a manner that was not too convincing. 4 days later, on July 12, 2025, Donald Trump posted a long message on his social media platform, Truth Social. He wrote, quote, "What's going on with my boys, and in some cases, gals? They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it, all over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein, over and over again," unquote. Trump went on to claim that the Epstein files were written by losers and criminals of the Biden administration. They created the Epstein files. If there was anything that could have hurt the MAGA movement in those files, the radical left lunatics would have released it. Trump then complained that no matter how many great things he does, like securing the border and fixing the economy, it's never enough for some people. Ironically, Trump then talked about how he wanted to focus his efforts on investigating other conspiracy theories, like the myth of the stolen 2020 election. At the end, Trump encouraged his followers not to waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody who nobody cares about. Now moving to my analysis. Here are my thoughts on a few areas that stood out to me in this case. Item number 1. It appears as though Donald Trump tried to ride the conspiracy theory wave into the White House. This wasn't his only tactic to get elected, but it was part of his strategy. A small number of supporters have a tremendously strong belief in conspiracies. They were counting on Trump to identify and round up the evildoers. There was a lot of focus on the Epstein files because Epstein was an elite. He was exactly the type of offender that the conspiracy theorists believe exist throughout government and industry. Trump promised to release the Epstein files, which helped him to gain votes. Now he is saying that they will never be released. This decision is difficult for him to explain and puts him in an impossible position. If there is no list, this means that he was lying and used the idea of the list as a tool to gain votes. If the list does actually exist, then it is reasonable to believe there are names on that list which Trump does not want the public to learn about. Why would he be so concerned about the names on that list? Item number 2. One mistake that Donald Trump made was failing to comprehend how a conspiracy theorist actually thinks. He leveraged this group to help him get elected, but he never really understood them. In a manner of speaking, Trump may have impersonated a conspiracy theorist. It's not clear if he ever really invested in their beliefs or he was just pretending to win favor. One main point that Trump missed was the life cycle of a conspiracy theory. He viewed this as something that was temporary. A conspiracy theory could come and go. It can be here today, but evaporate tomorrow. Trump could use conspiracy theories as a tool and then put that tool away when it was no longer necessary. To him, a conspiracy theory was like a power drill or a hammer. This is not how conspiracy theories work. In reality, they never die. The strength of the beliefs may ebb and flow, but they will never go away. It is easy to add new conspiracy theories, but there is no delete button for current theories. A diehard conspiracy theorist will never view one of their theories as being satisfactorily resolved by any mechanism. It doesn't matter what happens. Completion or resolution of the theory is impossible. There is no such thing as a satisfied conspiracy theorist. You'll never hear one say, "Well, I believed in this massive conspiracy of government evildoers, but then I evaluated the evidence, and now I'm convinced that I miscalculated. It turns out there were no alien lizard humanoids after all, rather just nice people working hard for a living." Furthermore, if a particular conspiracy theory turned out to be true, that still would not count as a resolution. For instance, say there was a conspiracy involving the leaders of a prominent financial institution. Maybe these people were making misrepresentations to investors about the financial health of the company. The criminal enterprise was exposed, and the individuals went to prison. Everybody should be happy. The justice system worked as intended. At first glance, one might consider this a resolved conspiracy theory. The conspiracy was actually true, and the guilty parties paid the price. This meant that the conspiracy was demolished. It's time to move on to something else. To a die-hard conspiracy theorist, this would not be satisfactory. They will always say the real conspiracy is deeper than what has been exposed. For instance, they might say this was just the tip of the iceberg. Or, what about that company over there? Investigate them too. They must be doing the same thing. There is no peace for a conspiracy theorist. There is no end to any conspiracy, whether real or imagined. Donald Trump did not understand this. He invoked this idea of a list of evildoers, and now he is stuck with it. Some people will never stop asking for the Epstein files, and they will never forgive Trump for failing to release them. Worse yet, they will add him to the conspiracy theory. In their minds, he is now part of the problem. He has joined the other elites. He is part of the system, part of the problem. Arguably, Trump may be on his way to gaining some understanding as to how a conspiracy theorist thinks. For instance, in his long post defending Pam Bondi, he said, "It's never enough for some people." Trump is onto something there. He should take that idea and build on it. He may come to understand how you cannot please conspiracy theorists. Trump was able to harness their power for a little while in the form of their votes, but now they have turned on him. This takes me to my final item, number 3. There are two types of people who engage with conspiracy theories: diehards and opportunists. The diehards are fully committed, profoundly distrustful, and frighteningly paranoid. They believe the conspiracy is real, ongoing, and more pervasive than the public realizes. They have special knowledge about the actions of the evildoers that other people do not possess. So this is really about fantastical abilities. The opportunists, on the other hand, use conspiracy theories as a tool of manipulation. They don't necessarily believe the theory, but they know it motivates people, so they leverage it when it's convenient. In the end, diehards will almost always turn on opportunists. In order to stay in the good graces of diehards, an opportunist must always promote the belief that the conspiracy is ongoing. There can never be closure. There must always be another door to open, another mystery to explore. The truth must eternally be kept just out of reach. Diehards do not want the party to end. Trump is trying to shut down a conspiracy theory. He fails to understand the tool of manipulation that he selected. He has disqualified himself and may be regarded as part of the cover-up. There is no way to know how much this controversy will affect Donald Trump, but one thing is for certain: it's not going to improve his popularity. Those are my thoughts on the case of the Donald Trump-Jeffrey Epstein controversy. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.